you'd have to do an analysis to understand what caused those fixed cost problems. It's quite likely that you could not judge those fixed cost problems on the factory manager. There might be things that are completely outside of the control of the department. The variable costs were pretty much on budget. Not much to say about that. You paid approximately what you would expect to pay in variable costs for producing 780 units. So really, your budget challenges were due to three things: a positive pricing, negative fixed costs, negative sales volume. And the math's the same as the math is for as you go layer to layer, the math stays the same. It's just a different layer of analysis. If this were a flag, you would continue to decompose it. So if the variable costs did appear to be a problem, you would then want to understand, are those problems due to direct materials or are they due to direct labor? If they're due to direct materials, which materials caused the problem? So you'd keep peeling the onion, looking for variances that are material and important. Which is really what we're saying here. At every level, you're looking for price variances and usage variances. Usage variances. If you had a variable cost of direct materials that had a significant variance, was it due to the fact you needed more materials than expected? Or was the price of the materials not what you expected? And by how much? Same picture we had before. Nothing new here. Okay, let's go through an example. It's going to be about 3 or 4 slides on this example. Hansen Company makes a product called Jerf. Their standard costing system tells them they need 1.5 pounds of stuff to produce Jerf. And that stuff costs $4 a pound. Last month, 1,700 pounds of materials were purchased and used to make 1,000 Jerfs. And the total cost was $6,630. What was the actual price per pound? Actual price per pound paid for the material, the stuff. Raise your hand. B, C, D, C it is. The answer was C, $3.90. Same problem, same numbers. What was their material price variance for the month? Material price variance. What do we have? A, B, C, D. The answer is A. I'm sorry, B. B. Sorry about that. Got you excited for a second. The answer is B. It's $170 favorable. It cost him $3.90 a pound rather than $4. That's a favorable 10 cents a pound less at 1,700 pounds. So that's 170 pounds favorable. Okay, same problem. How many pounds of material should they have used to produce 1,000 jerks? This is a quick one. A, not going to give you any more time. B, C, D. The answer is B. 1.5 pounds is the standard. They should have, for 1,000 pounds, or for 1,000 jerks, they should use 1,500 pounds. That would be your standard quantity of materials. Same problem. What was their usage variance? This one's a little bit more tricky. A, B, B, no, C, D. Bless you. The answer is C, $800 unfavorable. That comes from the fact that their standard said, based upon the volume of output, they should have used 1,500 pounds of the material. They actually used 1,700. So that's 200 pounds unfavorable at $4 a pound. That's the $800 using the standard price. Okay. So what's some of the causes of direct material variances? Maybe you chose to buy better quality product at a higher cost. Not necessarily bad. Maybe you were able to negotiate price discounts. Or maybe you weren't able to negotiate price discounts because your sales were lower. Maybe the price changed. Maybe you had rush orders that caused you to get goods before, in a quicker fashion, so you had to pay extra. Those would all be reasons for price variances. Quantity variances, maybe you purchased lower quality good. Maybe you decided to try something different and see if a little bit lower quality raw materials would work for you. Well, you needed more of it to get it done. Maybe your employees weren't trained right. Maybe you have new people coming in and they're not doing the job the way they should, and there's more waste than usual. Maybe your machinery needs to be maintained better. So those could cause quantity variances. With direct labor variances, maybe you use a different class of labor. Maybe you've substituted in new labor for your old. Maybe your intention, the reason you might have a higher price, was to use a higher quality labor because you expected higher quality labor would result in lower materials costs. Maybe your standards are wrong. The efficiency rate the other side of it is the quantity variance or the efficiency of your employees. Their training might be substandard. If your raw materials are poor, it could result in inefficient work. If the equipment isn't very good, you might have a lot of downtime of your employees as you're waiting for the equipment to be maintained. And again, out-of-date standards. So there are a variety of reasons for direct labor variances. The key is find the variance and then work with it. So standard costing is very useful. It's used all the time. But it's not the whole story. Because if you're going to incent your people on their variances, you may create short-term thinking. Maybe you don't maintain your equipment as readily because you don't want those costs. So you might end up, maybe you purchase substandard raw materials or cheaper labor. You need to be careful to look at both favorable and unfavorable variances. You don't just look at unfavorable variances, because a favorable variance, like you had the favorable price variance, that may have caused another unfavorable variance somewhere. So you need to look at all of your material variances to understand their causes. And standard costing is a fairly expensive process. You have to bring the industrial engineers in. You have a lot of work to do. So some companies are just not going to invest in it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do Chapter 8 today. I think it'll be overkill. So, we'll